If there's one person who has been able to don multiple roles in his life so far, it has to be Vivek Khandelwal, who is currently a LinkedIn influencer. Vivek Khandelwal started his career in retail and then he transitioned to becoming a mentor and a leader and then into a content creator. I came to know about Vivek through the LinkedIn Creator Accelerator program, which was a 10-week long program for creators by LinkedIn, and I was truly inspired by his consistency of showing up on LinkedIn. If you want to learn about leadership, if you want to understand how one can play multiple roles in life, and also if you want to learn about content creation, then this episode is exactly for you. Let's go for it. Hi Vivek, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, hi Divyansh. So delighted to meet you this afternoon. How have you been doing?
I'm great. I'm great. How are you? How are you doing?
All's well. Thank you so much. Thanks,
Great.
Stan, for having me here with you.
Pleasure. And I'm very excited and interested in talking about a lot of things which you have achieved in your life and which you're currently pursuing as well. One of them is especially content creation. But apart from that, I studied your profile, and you were a part of the LinkedIn Cap program as well. And I discovered that you've done so much. Like you've been a part of the retail industry, right? You've been a mentor, a leader, a speaker, right? You've been a guest faculty at colleges as well. You've been a podcaster. I think you're still pursuing that passion, and also a content creator on social media. So different facets of life, and I'm like, how do you do so much in in your lifetime? So I want to know that first from you.
So I feel that my journey has just started. आपने इतनी सारी चीजें बता दी दिव्यांश. I'm still thinking, okay, have I really done so many things? If I look at our Prime Minister today, Divyansh, he has to handle so many things. He has to visit across the world. He has to look at so many different kind of ministries and stuff like that. How does one human being manages so many things? So I think if he can manage at his level, I think all of us can do our own bit, Divyansh. So I think I would really say that the journey has just started. I've always been passionate about content per se, Divyansh. That has been there right from my high school days. It's just that in the routine rigmarole of the corporate world, a lot of times you are only restricted to writing, emails to colleagues, to internal and external stakeholders, not driven by the company, but you
Yeah.
are so bounded with your own preconceived notions. अरे क्या मैं अच्छा लिख पाऊंगा? Can I really do well? What will people do? Will people judge me? Will people really be interested in reading and all of that stuff? So
Correct.
one has to overcome their own journey to navigate through this path. So I think, fortunately, I would like to probably express my gratitude to a variety of different people who have really inspired me in my journey. And I keep sharing whatever I've learned so far, and I also keep learning from everyone, including people like you as well, Divyash. So thank you so much for that opening question.
That's great. And starting from your, I think you've done so much work in retail. You've been traveling across the country and even the globe as well. So I just want to learn more about your journey, from that aspect as to what did you learn in the retail journey and your journey throughout the globe and the country. What were your key learnings there?
Some incredible learnings. So I'm saying, summing up all the learnings in just a few minutes is damn challenging, but let me,
Yeah.
try to make an attempt here, Divyansh, for you. So retail is something which has always been my passion, right? After my, graduation days, retail that time used to be the buzzword, and I'm talking about early 2000, because
Hmm.
in the early 2000 era, IT had just become the buzzword, and IT had was kind of in a settling phase, and that's where retail started coming up. We had very, very few organized retail players in the country, and that's when I was really fortunate enough to join Reliance Retail. And at Reliance Retail, I was really, really fortunate with one chance interaction that I had then with the president and CEO of Operations and Strategy, late Raghu Pillai. He is no more there, unfortunately. May his soul rest in peace. Uh, but that one chance interaction actually changed my life. to be frank with you, Divyansh. And that chance interaction happened in one of the stores, one of the retail stores. And he had come to visit, and I was there in the store, and I was kind of taking him through the store and sharing with him whatever I had learned in the college and in the B school in terms of theory. And I was trying to understand from him because he's the man who I can say is synonymous with N.R. Narayana Murthy in IT. So the moment you think
Okay.
about information technology, you think about Sri Narayana Murthy. So,
Yeah.
so he was the man who was holding a similar position when it comes to retail. So we all know retail with Kishore Biani, but he was a man who was much ahead of Kishore Biani in terms of foreseeing retail and in terms of looking at retail from close quarters. So working with him actually broadened my horizon in so many different ways. I worked with him day in, day out. I was part of operations and strategy. Then I worked in category management. There were a plethora of opportunities that actually came my way, Divyansh. And one such opportunity was also the group study exchange program of the Rotary. So where I had the fortune to represent India at Switzerland. And when you say represent India, it was also about representing Indian culture, Indian happenings, learn and understand more about my vocation, which was retail and communications. And when I visited Switzerland, I stayed with the host families, the people who had invited us. And it's a very, very different feeling, I must say, Divyansh, because when you go as a tourist, the kind of perspective that you gain, and when you go as someone who's invited by that country, the perspective that you gain is completely different. And since then on, when I worked with some of the other organizations, I actually got to understand the other side of the story. I got pretty much involved with the execution. So when we talk about retail, there are always two words: one is the back end, one is the front end, Divyansh. So I got exposed to both the sides. I got exposed to strategy, operations, category management, which is more back end, and a little bit of front end. And I also got exposed to complete front end, which is execution. कि जब आप जाते हो market में, when you actually go and visit a particular outlet, how are the products really placed inside the store? What is the art and science by virtue of which the products get replenished on the shelf? Because the moment you pick up a product as a consumer, कुछ तो हो रहा है back end में, because of which the product comes back, right? So what is it that's really happening? That art and science is something that I could really get hands-on firsthand. And then I was fortunate enough to travel to different parts of the world, understand the local culture there, understand how the retail organizations are functioning there, the retail brands. And I had learned a lot about these things also in terms of theory. So every time that I actually went there, I could relate some of those theories in practical angles, saying, okay, how is the buying, how is the merchandising, what are the kind of consumers, target segment, and the kind of outlet. Is it mass? It is premium? Is it semi-premium? Is it category specialist? So there are so many different
Okay.
categories of retail that typically happens, which people from retail will be able to understand pretty well. But I don't want to make it too technical. I want to keep it very, very simple. कि यार जैसे consumer एक retail की दुकान में जाता है, every consumer experiences or visits, so to say, different kind of retail outlets for different objectives. But there's a lot of work which happens in the background for that particular outlet to fulfill the needs of the consumer. So I think I
Okay.
would really say that I've been able to get a lot of exposure on that front uh, by virtue of being in the market. So in
Okay.
India also, I've traveled across the nooks and corner of the country, both in terms of urban as well as rural market. At some point in time, I was also spearheading the Project Shakti from Hindustan Unilever, wherein and Hindustan Unilever was one of the key clients. So wherein I got the exposure of visiting small rural villages across the country, and the kind of
Hmm.
love, affection, warmth, and the kind of engagement that you get to experience in a typical rural village, it is beyond words. It is a very, very different culture compared to what we typically see and experience as urbanites, Divyansh.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's the whole story. So I hope I've been able to give you some sneak peek into what I've really done in retail.
And I'm curious about one thing which I've just popped. This question has popped up in my head, that why did you choose retail as even the industry where to pursue your passion? Is it something you had carried in terms of a passion earlier, or did it develop during your studies? What was it?
People
Why retail?
centricity. People centricity. So one of the primary reason on why I chose retail is because I always loved to be in the midst of people. Much before getting into retail as a sector or industry, Divyansh, I was also deeply involved in a variety of social and community upliftment projects. So my association with people engagement was very high during those days. So the industry
Okay.
that I could relate and associate myself at a closer level was retail per se. It wasn't banking, it wasn't insurance, and you would also appreciate that unlike the kind of careers that we talk about today, those were not the kind of careers that were really existing in our kind of market about 20, 25 years back. That
Hmm.
wasn't really, you know, an existing phenomena, if I can
Yeah.
put it that. So
Got it.
things were pretty different. Like the way you must have read through books, or you must have heard through your parents to say that उस जमाने में तो खाली ये तीन चार करियर हुआ करते थे. आज
Hmm.
देखो कितने
Yeah.
करियर है. Because you are a Gen Z, Divyansh, you're much younger, so that's the reason I'm saying that.
You said Gen Z, but I am a millennial because I'm also like the 90s kid, and I'm looking at my cousins who are Gen Zs, and I know how different they are because they are born in the tech era and stuff like that. And interestingly, you were able to travel to so many places, like you mentioned that you travel to villages, small towns, and even the globe, right? And you have a larger perspective of how people behave in such different cities in different countries. uh, what did you learn about people behavior? I mean, in short, I know it's a big question because I know we learned that in MBA, but what did you really understand about the people behavior in tier 3 cities and even global cities like London or
I'm
probably
s-
Switzerland?
I'm speaking a mix of Hindi and English. I hope that should be okay for you
That's
and
fine.
your.
That's fine.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I must really say that people behavior is, as you rightly said, it differs from geography to geography, the way people behave and the way you bring relatability to them. However, there's one common thread that connects everyone, Divyash, and that common thread is the warmth and affection. Irrespective of whether you know the language or you don't know the language, irrespective of which part of the world you are really from, as long as you can speak the language of warmth and affection, your ability to connect with them is gonna be incredibly higher. So if I talk about Switzerland, I think the people were really, really awesome and amazing. One, because we were the chosen four who represented India, and in Mumbai when that selection happened, there were 250 people, out of which four got selected. So it was a
Okay.
pretty tough selection to go through, and then we were trained, really, really with a lot of passion. We had to visit and give presentations to about 100 different clubs. कि तुम वहां जाके क्या प्रेजेंट करोगे, पहले हमको प्रेजेंट करो, हमारे कल्चर के बारे में क्या बताओगे, व्हाट आर यू गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट आवर फेस्टिवल्स, आवर कल्चर, आवर हैपनिंग्स. Because in the kind of perception that India used to carry in a lot of these countries, especially European countries, is India तो भाई भारत तो snake charmers का देश है. India is a land
Hmm.
of snake charmers. So what you actually get to read in books, but India is much beyond that. And
Yeah.
you see the kind of opportunity that we had that time to talk about was very different. Today, though, everything is available with the click of a button. But I'm still
Correct.
talking about the time when internet was just coming up and
Yeah.
people were getting used to it and stuff like that. So it was still, I would say, relatively not so early days, but not this kind of a period as well, like the way we have now with Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn and stuff like that.
Correct.
So other than Switzerland, if I have to really say, for example, I went to Vietnam, and I must really say that Vietnam, you'd be surprised to know that the women are a lot more hardworking than men in
Okay.
Vietnam.
Okay.
So the retail stores in Vietnam are being driven by the women. Men are sleeping in the afternoon. Can you imagine that?
That's crazy.
So that is the kind of cultural nuances, cultural differences that typically happens as you move along to different geography. So this was Switzerland. If I talk about Germany, people are hip and happening, and you see all of these wall-based murals that you keep seeing, very,
Hmm.
very common. And I was there in Germany at a time when Germany had won a football match against England. And I
Okay.
tell you, it
Wow.
was such a crazy evening, Divyansh. जैसे हम कहते हैं कि यार इंडिया, अगर इंडिया में मैच हो रहा है और पाकिस्तान के अगेंस्ट हो रहा है, और अगर इंडिया ने जीता और बड़े शहर पे हो रहा है, तो what will be the feeling? It will be beyond
Hmm.
words, right? So I was there at Berlin and with some of my local friends in Berlin in Germany, and I tell you, Germany won that match after many years. And the
Hmm.
kind of crazy feeling that we had in that city was absolutely incredible. People were gung ho. They were crazy, they were dancing, and so that was the kind of cultural nuance that I really saw
Correct.
at different places. Then, if I talk about US, I would say that people are thoroughly professional in US. See, US, if you see as a geography, nothing really comes for free. आप एयरपोर्ट
Hmm.
पे भी रहते हो, तो एयरपोर्ट पे अगर आपको ट्रॉली भी चाहिए तो आपको $5 डालना पड़ता है उसमें.
That's true.
So
Correct.
unlike India, where we see, okay, we keep taking things for granted in India, but there they don't have the scope. The way US markets its monuments, markets itself to outsiders, to local people is, I must say, it's absolutely incredible. If India starts to market itself in that particular fashion, probably the kind of tourism revenue that we are attracting would increase considerably. Those are
Interesting.
the kind of nuances.
Interesting. And from your global adventures and stuff, I had this question in mind that you led projects, retail projects like Project Shakti, you were a part of, right? So a natural question arises, and you learned a lot from Mr. Pillai as well, who's not here anymore. uh, how do you cultivate leadership, as in for example, if somebody who's listening to this podcast and wants to transition into a leader, because they have it in them, and probably there's one step which is left, or if somebody really wants to become a leader, what does it take to become a leader? How do you cultivate leadership? That's my next question.
Okay, so there's always this ongoing debate, Divyansh, about manager versus leader. Okay, there's also another debate, good leaders versus bad leaders. There's also another debate saying leadership by hierarchy. Yeah, हमारे company में तो इतने सारे leadership position है. But I personally believe that leadership always has to be by inspiration and never by hierarchy. Hierarchy is always short-lived. Inspiration always leaves a legacy behind. Now, look at one simple example. We have Sri Narendra Modi as our current Prime Minister. He is never gonna be one Prime Minister who has ran the country just by hierarchy. No, hierarchy is definitely gonna play the role, because the moment you are not a chief Prime Minister, it's gonna be a different position. But then the way he has been able to inspire our countrymen, the way he has been able to drive people to be digital first, that shows that he is a man not just of words but also in action, irrespective of all the critics. Now let me bring this relatability also to the corporate world, Divyansh. In corporate world, we have all kinds of leaders. We have leaders who believe in following processes. We have leaders who are a healthy mix of what is written in words and also in action. We also have leaders who want to dictate, but they don't
Correct.
want to follow. And we also have leaders who want to be collaborative in nature. So, what kind of leadership skills should you really look at? Here are my few pointers that I personally believe in, and it has worked for me. It has worked for many people with whom I'm engaged or with whom I keep engaging, time and again. One is, you've always heard about this story saying, walk the talk. क्या मतलब है इसका? Walk the talk का क्या मतलब? That if you are asking your employees, say, to come to office at 9 a.m. and you every day land up in the office at 11 a.m., are you really walking the talk?
No.
No. Yeah, one day you come at 11, it's fine. 2 days you come at 11, it's fine. You may be having some work, you're a leader, you have gone for some other meeting, but you're genuinely coming from home. That's not acceptable. Number one. Number two, a leader has identified through his or her IQ and IQ, EQ, mental quotient, and everything else that, okay, this particular employee has done a mistake. There are so many different approaches that the leader could take. The leader can go onto the floor and then say, hey, what the hell is this? You haven't done your job properly, which is what so many leaders also follow that. But what really differentiate leader of this type as against some other leaders who would say, okay, why don't you just come and let's spend some time? That the leader actually spends some time to explain, saying, okay, this is the area that you've gone wrong. Why don't you just take care of this next time so that you're a lot more conscious? Now, what the leader has really done, leader has inculcated two things into the subordinate. One, the leader, in a very, very subtle manner, Divyansh, has been able to inculcate the behavior saying, just be careful about your work. And second,
Mm,
the leader has exhibited a very, very high degree of empathy by having that one-to-one discussion. Now,
mm.
why is it that I'm bringing the element of empathy is because empathy is one of the most needed skill when it comes to workplace environment.
Okay.
And today, the way leadership is going to evolve in the new times or in the evolving times is only and only with empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that the leadership of today is being questioned saying, okay, take care of employee wellness, take care of mental health? All of these things were unheard of terms
Yeah.
prior to the pandemic. When I'm
Yeah.
saying unheard of, I don't mean it in the literal sense. They were
Mm.
obviously there, existing as a word. But I mean that they were never part of the corporate circles. They were never part of the corridor saying, okay, लोग खड़े रह के बात कर रहे हैं अच्छा mental health के बारे में लगेगा यार ये बंदा mental है, what the hell is this person doing in our organization? This person should be sacked. But today the same set of people are being embraced. Now that's leadership. Another form of leadership is, you know that as a leader you got to be with the people, but you're always there in the head office. There are leaders like that, and then there are parallelly leaders like, okay, I got to divide my time, I got to be with the people, I got to give them my listening ear. Until unless I listen to them, how do I know whether I'm sitting in fool's paradise or am I actually aware that we are moving in the right direction? Those things becomes very tricky, and a person will not be able to understand until and unless that person takes the effort, pain, time, and energy to go and visit the market, to go and
Mm.
visit, understand the consumers, understand from his or her team members, saying, okay, what is it that we are doing right? Are you liking it? Are you enjoying it? What is it that we can really do? See, salary is just one part of the
Yeah.
entire quotient.
Mm.
But do people leave jobs only because of salaries? No. Do
No.
people join jobs only because of salary? Probably yes, but they don't stick around for long. That's also
Correct.
equally true.
Yeah.
They don't stick around for long. That's also equally true. So I am saying leadership of the future or leadership of the present are the set of people who are agile when it comes to learning. I am saying I want my team members to learn and understand the new things, but I don't want to do that. How is it really going to happen? Which means if you as a subordinate, you bring something to me, I'll say, no, no, it will not work. Why? Because I have not studied that topic myself. So how do I
Mm.
know whether it will work or it will not work? So that is where the magical question of being a continuous learner becomes extremely important. So these are just some few of the facets. It's a topic that I can go endless on, Divyansh. I can just
Yeah.
talk on this topic for many, many hours. So I think let me just pause here for a moment if you want
Sure,
to ask
sure.
any question.
I do have, because I have been even following a very famous personality on the internet. His name is Gary V. Probably you might have heard of him, and he talks a lot about empathy and kindness in most of his videos, because he's a crazy content creator. And I had this question that sometimes it's the nature of the people that they are not empathetic by nature. Sometimes, like probably because they've been brought up like that or some situation. How do you cultivate empathy? There might be something that helps you cultivate that. you know and also, how do you build confidence? Because a leader is a confident guy who knows what he or she is doing, and probably who inspires, and inspiration requires confidence. So there are two questions here: how do you cultivate empathy, and then how do you build confidence as a leader, in- to take it to that level?
Let me answer the first question. How do you cultivate empathy? So empathy, let's break it down into two parts, Divyansh. Empathy is something that either you are you have grown, not you are, but you have actually grown through empathy right from your early years, which means you have seen it, you've experienced it in your family, in your environment, in your surroundings. Okay, that's one part of the story. If that hasn't happened, which means a leader is a great leader but doesn't carry empathy, then how will the person then be in a position to exhibit empathy? The next important point of cultivating empathy really is that when you are in a given situation, as you're growing in the corporate hierarchy, there are people who are being kind to you. Like, for example, I am sitting in the office, there is a housekeeping guy or there's a staff member who comes and brings tea to me. When I want to have food, I ask my office staff to get me to buy me food. When I walk out of the office in the evening, The security guard bids me bye-bye and have a great evening. When I walk into the office in the morning, suppose if I'm the first person, the security guard welcomes me in the morning. Now, all of these things are what? Am I empathetic enough to understand that these people are wishing me or these people are supporting me? I must also respect them for who they really are as a human being.
Correct.
And it is not about the fact that I am earning a few lakhs or a few crores as salary and they are just earning a few thousands. It is not about that. It is about human to human level. Suppose as a leader, if the leader becomes unwell in the office, who are the set of people who are going to support to him in that tough situation? Do you think that the leader will start to feel kindness for those set of people? It'll happen by default, right?
Yeah.
It'll happen by default. So I would say that the way one cultivates empathy is first understanding what is empathy. Empathy and sympathy are two different words. It is
Yeah.
not about sympathetic, it's about empathy. So if a leader has become a leader but is not empathetic, first is to understand what is the meaning of empathy.
Correct.
And understand the meaning of empathy not in dictionary, not on Google, not by listening to others, but by experiencing and implementing that.
Got it.
Just by virtue of recognizing and complimenting people for who they really are, for the kind of work that they do. If I'm sitting in my office cabin, I'm narrating a hypothetical scenario for you,
Yeah.
Divyansh. If I'm sitting in a office cabin and I want to get a 100-page booklet printed, someone gets it printed for me, someone gets spiral bound, and the book is ready for me to go and attend a board meeting. I'm right now relating a life of a leader, right?
Yeah.
The leader has to walk into the board meeting. Now, just imagine what would be the condition of the leader if these people were not there.
Not good.
Empathy, right?
Yeah.
Empathy. That
Yeah.
that respect and that deeper sense one starts to cultivate at that stage. And
Got
that's the
it.
reason, Divyansh, you will see that the finest of the leaders, they will always exhibit empathy. They will always exhibit kindness. Gary Vee, the example that you've taken, he's a gem of a guy, Gary Vee. He's an awesome influencer. His thoughts are extremely positive. He's always trying his best to impart positive vibes to the world. And
Yeah.
in sync with that, every time that he talks about exhibiting kindness, exhibiting empathy, he's trying to say that, guys, the definition of leadership is changing. It's not going to be the same. Yes, there was a time when you became the dictator leader, like the
Yeah.
way we talk about Hitler as a
Yeah.
dictator leader. But today, it's not the time for a leader to become a dictator leader.
Got it.
So a dictator leader would be one who may not have that degree of empathy. However, when you look at a servant leader, like the way आपने सुना होगा कुछ महीनों पहले दिव्यांश, where बीजेपी के जितने नेता थे सबने अपने आगे सर्वेंट लिखा था, सेवक. आपने ऑब्जर्व किया था? देयर वाज
Yeah. Yeah.
एक मुहिम चली थी इसकी जब सबने
Correct.
सेवक लिखना शुरू किया था. Now, what does that mean? अगर हम सेवक को अपने हिंदी के शब्दों में रिलेट करें, it's servant leadership,
Correct.
which means I am just a servant of the position that I'm managing, I'm occupying. So I am no great. I am just managing this service, and that is what makes me special. But I got to do my job properly.
Yeah.
So that's one part of the question. Now let's move to the second part of the question, and here you are trying to understand confidence. So, in fact, 2 days back only, I had written a post on confidence. I don't know whether you had the chance to glance
Yeah.
through that or not.
Yeah.
Confidence actually typically comes in from small wins. All those small little things that we ignore a lot of times. For example, someone has been thinking about getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning for 3 years. And for
Correct.
one full week, the person has been able to do for whatever reasons.
Yeah.
ठीक है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल उन्होंने ओटीटी देखना बंद कर दिया, शाम को टाइम समय पे सोना शुरू कर दिया, राइट? ऑल ऑफ दोस थिंग्स.
Yeah.
So do you think that the individual will exhibit some or feel some difference in their heart, saying, I'm becoming better,
Yeah.
I've been able to achieve this? That is one sign of confidence. Confidence happens or confidence comes when one puts their thoughts into action. Confidence
That's so true.
comes
Yeah.
Confidence comes not by words, but by practice. Confidence comes when what a person is saying, the other person is able to connect with that individual in a seamless and relatable manner. Confidence
Hmm.
comes when, as a leader, when I go to the market or when I go to my factory gate and uh, I'm talking to the security guard, and security guard knows me and asks me some of the questions, which means the security guard is confident about me and my ability.
Yeah.
Confidence comes when I'm in the board meeting and when I'm trying to share some of the anecdotes, some of the analogies, and I'm able to bring that change in the decision that is being taken. That is when a person becomes confident. But for that to happen, Divyansh, one has to have that strong belief in himself or herself, which means
True.
having a thought process, to have a voice of your own is extremely important. अगर आपको खुद की आवाज पे विश्वास नहीं है, if you don't have a strong belief in your own voice, how do you think other people should trust you,
Hmm.
and why should they? So that's the whole point. I hope I've been able to answer both your questions, Divyash.
Definitely, because I can relate to the fact that you should put your thoughts into action. And I remember that when I started my video creation journey in 2018, there was a time I was not as confident or as, just to go out there and start creating content. And I just said, okay, let's. I had this thought for a year as to I should start creating, videos and stuff. But then one day I was like, let's just do it, no matter if it's good or bad. Let's just do it, and that's how I just kickstarted my, took the camera, started recording. Did not go off well, and I started questioning myself if this is what I'm really meant to do and all that stuff. I was like, why am I doing it? Then second time I did it again. I was like, let's do it again. Third time, fourth time, and gradually the confidence started building up, and people started relating to the videos. So I think, yeah, that's a really valid point in terms of building confidence, and connecting it to leadership as well, like putting your thoughts into action. And people who are still thinking, I think, don't be afraid of, even people are afraid of judgment. That's what I've seen on social media as well. Like, people want to create, but they feel like other people will judge them in terms of, oh, we have these questions in our minds, like, what will that person say about my content or think about me? That generally is something which even I think used to think about when I started creating on LinkedIn, on YouTube. And then I was like, no, just don't think about that too much, because people have their own worlds, people have their own thinking, and it's not necessary that they will judge you. That's what I understood, and then just started creating content and just kept going. And things became better with time. So I think, yeah, I completely agree with you on that. And I think you shared some golden nuggets when it comes to leadership, empathy, confidence, and I totally agree with them. Hopefully people will also appreciate what you just shared right now. And moving on to the fact that you had such a illustrious career as a leader. You've been faculty at colleges as well. You've covered so many confidence sessions. Probably you talk about leadership more in colleges and stuff. I want to know one thing, sir, that why did you switch? I'm not sure if you completely switched, but why did you get into content creation? What compelled to start creating content on social media? How did you adapt?
See, I would say that each one of us have that deeper sense of urge within ourselves to discover what we really meant to, and automatically the universe tries to align all the stars in such a way that you are able to walk that path.
Yeah.
Right? So that's exactly happened when the pandemic had started. It was a great opportunity for me to start discovering my own writing. So writing is something that people have always appreciated me, even during the corporate times. Speaking is something that people have always been highly appreciative. I've done so many programs as master of ceremony. I've conducted many programs as the host of the program. But then the entire point is that until unless you step into that direction, you never know. अच्छा लिखना क्या चीज के बारे में है, कैसे लिखेंगे, क्या लिखेंगे, what is the area, what is the niche. So because I represent the niche of bringing workplace readiness, work readiness skill sets is something that I want to impart to people. So I keep engaging with graduates, with postgraduates, with young working professionals, with organizations. And parallel to that, I also bring in a lot of my experiences alive for the work that I've done in the past 10 years. So which means I help a few organizations to grow in the areas of, say, strategy, in the areas of operations, execution, or for that matter, LinkedIn strategy as well. Why? Because they're all connected with business elements. So I would say that, some things that you do, they automatically become part of life. It is like saying कि अच्छा आप आपने गाड़ी चलाना क्यों सीखा? आपके पास इतना इतने इतने सारे माध्यम थे, उससे आप ट्रैवल कर सकते थे। ठीक है, उस टाइम पे मेरे को जरूरत थी, मैंने सीख लिया, नाउ इट हैज बिकम पार्ट ऑफ लाइफ। सो सिमिलर to that content creation also, I would say that uh, both of both of us have been part of the LeakApp program, Divyansh. So for a lot of people in the initial days, it was like, अच्छा हफ्ते में 4 content कैसे होगा? It is sounding so difficult. So now today when I am writing दिन के 4 content, whatever, ideas are automatically flowing in. Right?
Hmm.
So I would say that it is all in our mind, and it is all about prioritization. Saying something you become passionate about, you start to devote more time in that direction.
Yeah.
So I would really say to all the listeners who are listening to this and who really may have this question connected to the fact that, okay, I am working or I am an entrepreneur, how can I really do content creation? Guys, the simple answer to this tough question is talk about yourself, talk about your
Yeah.
journey, talk about what you know, talk about what you do, but
Hmm.
just follow this one word called authenticity. Don't try to be someone else. Try to
Correct.
be who you are, and don't try to portray someone else. It's fine if there are other people. Everyone has their own journey, but as long as you are yourself, you'll always find people who are able to relate and connect with you. There will always invariably be people who are younger than you or who are yet to start their journey, who are always keen to know from you. I hope, Divyansh, this helps.
Interesting. Yes, this definitely helps. So, from what you just shared about content creation, I had this question about the LinkedIn Creator Accelerator program, because it was a 10-week long program, and we were a part of it, luckily. And I would say that I had seen accelerator programs for startups, but nothing for creators of this sort, right? So, what were your learnings from this program, if any? I want to know from you.
Uh, my first word with respect to the LeakApp program, the LinkedIn Creator Accelerator program, is that I feel that I was really fortunate because, frankly, yes, I had applied, but I had not thought that I'll be able to get into this creme de la creme of 200 odd people. And a lot of other creators also came and told me the same thing. So I would say that I learned a lot because the divide between the creators was huge, because there were creators who were in the first year of college, which is like just starting their journey, and there were also creators who were like in their late 50s. So
Yeah.
that kind of a divide brought in a lot of richness. You see, Divyansh, the close camaraderie, there's a lot of bonding. We met people face to face in the city a few times. Then the manner in which LinkedIn organized the entire program, it was so systematic. The way they had conducted the entire program, we had 3 amazing mentors and a few more from their global team members and LinkedIn members from other countries. They all made the entire program so enriching. So I really feel blessed and fortunate enough to be in the midst of such enterprising cohort of people, because I actually enriched and learned so many things, small things, but highly impactful things. How can I use different kind of contents, and what are the kind of content types I should try? Things that I had not done, I tried doing that as well. I tried LinkedIn audio for the first time, and now I've already done a few audios on LinkedIn Live. And I feel that, okay, now I'm quite comfortable in doing that. There's so many content which got featured. So I understood saying I need to write quality content. So the importance on bringing in quality is something that the LeakApp program really taught firsthand, because every time that they used to talk about content, they always said that, okay, your content has to exhibit who you are as a person. Your content has to exhibit your authenticity. Your content has to exhibit your voice. Your content has to exhibit your belief. Doesn't matter whether they are matching what other people are saying or not. It doesn't matter. But what really matters is, what is it that you are bringing on board for your community, for your set of folks who are following you, who are working with you day in, day out. So I would say that summarizing all the learnings in just a few minutes is damn challenging.
Yeah.
However, having said that, every single aspect, every single connection that I've built through this program has been absolutely incredible. Even today, I'm connected to so many people who were part of the program, and I feel that even if I give a call to anyone, the connection is so deep that we will feel that as if we know each other for a very long time. Now, that's the beauty of a program like this.
Yeah.
Um, if you're just a LinkedIn connection, that kind of connect can never ever happen. And that connect can happen only and
Hmm.
only because you are part of an exclusive program and something as
Agreed.
prestigious as the Creator Accelerator program. I would also like to take a moment to express my gratitude to the entire team of LinkedIn, be it Alina Bull, Tanya, Rakshit, uh, Vaishnavi, so
Yeah.
many of them, they actually put in a lot of effort to make things happen for each one of us, not just
Yeah.
for one individual, for each one of us. So I think that's really been my learnings, Divyansh.
I agree. I agree. And to add to that, I think we had 200 odd creators from different cities, Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, different tier two cities as
Even
well.
smaller cities as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, smaller cities as well. And the interesting bit was that when we had these creator meetups, for example, since I'm from Delhi, I had these Delhi creator meetups two times, and I could really feel the connect with those people when we met again in Bangalore at the closing ceremony. So yeah, definitely created a pretty strong network as well for us, for creators, and who were into other professions as well, just like you are doing content on the side as well, and probably it's a primary thing now. But that's how we build this network. And I think, yeah, probably I'm also very grateful to the whole team of LinkedIn, and thank you for organizing this beautiful program and connecting 200 of us again. I think they'll have more such seasons, because I heard from a very close friend of mine on LinkedIn that this season was a hit, and they'll have more coming up in India. So he was also pumped up. And one, I want to ask you one thing which you really like about the LinkedIn platform, because I have been a part of YouTube, Instagram, Facebook now, and now probably I'm very new to LinkedIn because I've been creating actively only for a year now, 1 year. Before that, I was active on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram only. What do you like about LinkedIn? That one, a couple of things you want to share.
Um, I feel that LinkedIn has the power to connect professionals at a deeper level compared to any other platform you see, be it Instagram, be it Facebook, be it YouTube. The connection can never be as deep as it can be on LinkedIn. That's
Yeah,
point number one. Point number two, LinkedIn as a platform to me appears highly authentic. People are able to express their vulnerable side. People are able to express their highs and lows. People are able to express what went right, what didn't go right. They're able to share some of their joys, which becomes a lot more relatable. That's number two. Number three, I want to learn from the best of the best. That's only and only possible for me on LinkedIn. Because in
yeah.
all the other platforms, I'll go helter skelter. It's very
Hmm.
difficult for me to figure out अच्छा किससे सीखे किससे नहीं सीखे. But LinkedIn, it gives you a very very guided choices, saying okay, you want to go to this individual, just follow, and you'll see quality content coming out. Unlike a lot of loads of pictures that we get to see on other platforms. Those pictures are great for likes and for engagement. They're awesome, but what is it for me?
Yeah,
So the moment I
that's true.
think about WIIFM, I think LinkedIn is the platform.
Hmm. And I agree with you on the second bit, which is the authenticity part, because I have been a YouTube creator for a long time and I see that people come and they comment they whatever they want to, right? They sometimes even put negative comments because you can't locate those people because it's very anonymous in terms of
Right.
commenting.
Sure.
People don't do that on LinkedIn. I've noticed that
Yeah.
they actually first judge if the content is the comment they're making on the particular piece of content is not bad or negative in a way. So that's another thing which I've noticed. And yeah, LinkedIn is amazing because they're also promoting video, and they wanted us to create shorts and even longer videos, and it's great for promoting podcasts. So that's another thing, and creating great networks like Life Connected with you on LinkedIn. So that's another great benefit of LinkedIn. And
Yeah.
so I want to ask you a few more things here, that being a content creator, also doing other things, how do you manage your time? Time management is critical, and I think that's something we all of us want to learn about, and it's kind of trending now. And but what is your process of time management?
Uh, a few of them. One is prioritization. So when you prioritize, not to say that okay, 100% of the time whatever you prioritize will happen. No, not necessary. But at least you are able to give priority to the important things that you have planned. That's point number one. Point number two, follow the Pomodoro technique, which is you
Hmm.
want to do something for a short span of time, just block 25 minutes, do it, put your attention, put your energy. then probably come back to it at a later date or later time, whatever that suits you. Uh, Number three, I'm saying a lot of times we start to devote our time into projects at unwanted time. If
Mm.
you shift that wiring to coming back to the same work at the desired time when you're a lot more fresh, probability of the amount of time it takes is much lesser.
Correct.
So that's also something that I've discovered over a period of time, and this is quite true for me when it comes to writing content. So
Yeah.
writing content with, uh, so a lot of times for me, what happens, content just comes with the flow. The moment I think about something, it just kind of flows in. I don't know whether you've observed or not. Uh, over the over the last probably, so to say, 15 to 20 odd weeks, I've been engaging on people's posts in terms of my comments actively. And
Hmm.
that's something that people keep coming back to me saying, okay, how do you write such kind of comments and
Yeah.
what makes you write these kind of quality comments? Because the moment we read your comments, we can feel that ये बिना पढ़े तो आप लिख नहीं सकते, उसके लिए पढ़ना तो पड़ेगा. मैं बोला हाँ भाई, बिना पढ़े तो मैं कंटेंट वैसे भी नहीं लिखता. When I'm saying content, I mean comment. बिना पढ़े तो मैं comment वैसे भी नहीं लिखता. So I would really feel that the moment you look at time as a jugglery, you got to have a cutoff and then move on. A
Yeah.
lot of times we just get stuck, including me myself. I also get stuck because as a human being, those tendencies are always there. थोड़ा और
Correct.
कर लेते, थोड़ा और कर लेते. But then you got to give priority and then just cut off and move on. And
Hmm.
in terms of time, what is also very, very essential is not to have too many things planned for the day. If I just have three or four top things planned for the day, the probability for me to manage and win on them is extremely high. But if I have a
Hmm.
list of 10 things, then I know what's going to happen at the end of the day. I'm only going to feel dejected. यार ये plan किया था तो हुआ ही नहीं था. Right? So these are some of my principles.
Interesting, interesting. And to add to that, I'm even learning along the journey that time management is about creating blocks of time, following Pomodoro. I've tried Pomodoro. I've tried blocking time for specific tasks. And there's a very beautiful podcast by the name of the Huberman Lab podcast. He's a Harvard professor who does a podcast on science and stuff. He says that if you really want to do some cognitively challenging tasks, block 90 minutes for a particular task. So 90 minutes is like very challenging tasks, and try and do it then for in that particular 90-minute session, and then you just relax for 30 minutes and then come back again. So he follows that process, and even to relax his brain, he does yoga nidra, so which is non-sleep deep rest. So just to add into the time management thing, that's how you can actually block time and use that 90-minute principle, Pomodoro principle, and even relaxing principles, which are NSDR. And I'm not going to
Yeah,
talk about science here, but yeah, just
no,
to add
I,
on.
I, I relate to that because what happens is I also try to keep taking breaks in between. See, one of the art and science of managing time is for you to take breaks. And this also comes out clearly from what you are also sharing. So I think we are on the same page. That sounds interesting.
Interesting, sir. And you are at a juncture where you've experienced so much in life. How do you maintain curiosity for things which are currently coming up, and on day-to-day basis? How do you maintain curiosity for that?
I see, by nature, I'm a very curious person, you see, Divyansh. So inquisitiveness and curiosity quotient for me is extremely high. I've been like that from a very long time, where this is something which is already there. And I would say that by virtue of getting into content, it has gone now to a whole new level. Like, for example, yesterday I wrote about the challenges that pilots are really having with respect to fatigue. They're not sleeping. So I wrote about that on LinkedIn yesterday evening. And you see, for that, I also had to do a little bit of reading. So I also enriched myself saying, what are the kind of challenges that they have? They're getting up in odd timing. See, a lot of times without reading, you'll assume, कि अच्छा ऐसा ही होता होगा ना, यही problem होती होगी. But when you read, you get to understand, saying, अच्छा ये नहीं, ऐसी ही problem है. And at the end
Hmm.
of the day, you see, one of the big things that happens, Divyansh, is we think जब हम air travel कर रहे हैं तो हमारी life is at stake. But what about them?
Yeah.
What about all the air hostesses? What about all the pilots? They also
Hmm.
have their families. Their life is equally at stake.
Correct.
So I would really say that you know uh, this is something that which comes out of a gradual process. There's no shortcut to this any which ways. ऐसा कोई एक shortcut नहीं मिलेगा मुझे which I can just quickly implement and then just get things going. Does that make sense to you?
It does. And in fact, curiosity. So even I am doing lots of things here. I've been creating content on fitness. Then I started doing podcasting. I got into technology because I was into an engineer as well during my early days. So I'm, have different things here and there going on. So when I'm kind of, so my process is sometimes I get really bored of something like creating fitness videos again and again. So I dive into something else, right? So that's how I kind of maintain curiosity, and then I come back to my main task. So that's how something I follow, like the
No,
process in
so
terms of.
I'll give you another example to
Sure.
maintain curiosity. One of the prime things that I've been doing from my very early years is, like, for example, if I've come across a new word, okay, so a curious mind would like to understand, अच्छा इस शब्द का क्या मतलब, what is the
Right.
meaning. So that's another way to
Correct.
exhibit your curiosity, that you want to find out. So I'll go and I'll find out and try to bring relatability. And then what happens is, over a period of time, when you do that as a practice, that word becomes part of your dictionary.
Hmm.
I'm saying, you start to acclimatize with yourself with that word, saying, अच्छा ये शब्द कहीं पढ़ा है, इसका क्या मतलब है, क्या relevance है, what is it that I can do about it. And see, curiosity is a topic on which I've also written articles. I keep teaching about curiosity also to students in colleges. Curiosity starts with one thing, which is to say that it doesn't matter if I'm foolish.
Hmm.
This
Right.
is one line statement. इससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता अगर कोई बोलता है कि यार तू पागल है, you are a foolish person, you don't understand, it's fine. But then
Correct.
same set of people will start appreciating, because they also have that question, but they don't have the guts to ask.
So relatable.
That is curiosity,
Yeah.
Divyansh. Now,
And
yeah, go ahead.
no, no, please continue.
No. I'm saying that is curiosity. And today, curiosity and inquisitiveness is like a stigma in our society, because unfortunately, it is not being taught in schools.
Yes.
आप एक स्कूल के क्लासरूम में सी, आज हम जिसके भी जो भी एडल्ट के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, एवरीवन हैज ग्रोन थ्रू क्लासरूम्स ओनली, राइट? सो अगर आप आज एक क्लासरूम में जाओ तो ऐसा क्यों होता है दैट यू ओनली गेट टू सी द सेम सेट ऑफ 5 or 10 स्टूडेंट्स आस्किंग क्वेश्चंस? Is there a problem in the balance 40, 50, 60? No.
No.
But then problem is in our system.
Correct.
Problem is the way things are getting inculcated. The problem is that the teachers are not encouraging. The problem is when other students are making mockery, they are not being supported. The problem is that they are high on emotions. The problem is they become insensitive. The problem is that the entire family system is not deep diving into generating more and more curiosity. That is the problem.
Hmm. I think you even answered that question for the fact that why people don't create content, like because they fear judgment and they are not. Probably I'm relating to curiosity, but they fear judgment because of that upbringing, right? We don't have it in our schools and our system. And I think gradually this curiosity angle is, I think, creeping up in even society and system, because we are progressing now. And the funny part is that the 10-week long program in LeeCap, the creative concept I pitched, it was called Curiosity Chronicles. Because I was curious about Web3 technology and technology in general and fitness. So I was creating content around it. And, I had that bit of fear that, oh no, I don't know what people will say about this, because I'm not a specialist in Web3 or something, because I just read stuff, do my research and report it on LinkedIn. Like, this is happening, that is happening. I'm doing this, I'm doing that in Web3. So that was funny, but that worked out because people kind of later said, okay, I'm learning something new from Divyansh, and I would like to follow him also for this content. So it kind of worked out, and it does, in the long run, curiosity always works out. And I had this again question in mind, which is, I think, a little probably you. I'm not sure if you're going to answer it, but how do you uh, create so much content? Like, how do you keep going on something like LinkedIn? It's a question which is asked so many times. How do you, as a
To
person,
whom? This
creator?
question is asked to whom?
Uh, I've been asked this question as for my YouTube content, how do you keep creating it? How do you get so much time to create these many videos and all that stuff? And when I see your content, like, and other creators as well, who create so much content out there on LinkedIn as well, I have this question because I'm not as active on LinkedIn as I'm on YouTube. So, how do you scale up your content process?
So short answer to your long question is just the way you do content creation for YouTube.
That's
the
it.
deep
That's true.
the deeper answer to this is uh, content creation is more about your individual thought process. It's
Hmm.
not about what is Divyansh doing, what is Sagar doing, what is Mahesh doing. It is not about that. It is about what is it that you would like to talk about. And if you think what you want to talk about will help other people, then you might as well talk about it.
True.
So,
True.
so I feel that every time that I say I'm sharing two kind of contents these days, especially in the last few weeks, because a lot of my posts have got featured, fortunately, by LinkedIn. So what I do is I also create a post about that feature. Now, what is the reason that I'm doing that? People who haven't seen the original post, hey, here's another opportunity for you to have a look at it. If you've
Hmm.
seen it, you might like to inform other people about it. So
Got
I
it.
would like to spread that awareness because see, if LinkedIn has featured the post, which means the post has met a certain degree of quality, and that's the reason it has got featured.
Hmm.
So then it becomes my moral responsibility to spread the vibe. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is what is it that I can do with my knowledge across so many different areas. So the objective is the knowledge, the faster it reaches to different set of people, better they become. It is a vicious cycle. Everyone starts to think positive. So that's also the larger objective. And with
Hmm.
everyone thinking, better and positive, who's going to be the biggest winner at the end of the day? It is people like you and me, as
True.
consumers, as people living on the planet. So I'm saying it's a collective ownership to make the world a better place. So
Hmm.
yes, in that collective ownership, there's always this sense saying, "Acha, mujhe business bhi karna hai, I have to make money also." All of those things are there. But what is the biggest objective? The biggest objective has to keep other people first, and not just me myself all the time.
I agree. And to add to your point, I think uh, I also believe that when you create content, you should be able to relate to it, and you should even love it in a way. Because if you are not relating to it, there's no point in even continuing, because you lose your, what you call, motivation and whatever you are pursuing, right? In terms.
Right.
So I think that's another point. And before we move on to the final section, which is rapid fire, I had this question in mind about. I think I've lost track, but yeah, theek hai. It's fine. Let's just move on to the rapid fire, and then probably we'll come back to that question. So I have a few questions when it comes to rapid fire, which is like you can answer in one sentence, or you can have a whole, banter around it, whatever you feel is comfortable for you. Okay. So the first question is, who inspires you the most?
My parents.
A daily habit you swear by.
Writing.
Oh, is it? Oh, you write every day. Like, okay,
देखो
great.
दिव्यांश लोग बोलते हैं कि 26 दिन तक लिखने से हैबिट बनेगी, 45 डेज तक लिखने से हैबिट बनेगी. मैं तो बोल रहा हूँ कि अब मैं 90 दिन तक लिख चुका तो हैबिट बन गई नहीं है.
Correct, correct, correct. That's so true, true. And if not content, then what? If not content creation, then what?
Communications.
Okay. A book you would like to recommend to people?
Atomic Habits.
Oh, that's a lovely book. I think,
Yeah.
I think a lot of the concepts you've talked about is from the book Atomic Habits, and they've generalized the whole, all these different concepts of habit building. And
Yeah.
the question I wanted to ask you is, did has content creation created opportunities for you in any way?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
not just, yeah. So
Loads
want to
of them.
shed some.
Loads of them. Content creation has created loads of opportunities for me. I have been in touch with new set of people. There are new set of collab opportunities that came my way. The new set of engagements that has happened. The new set of people whom I know, with whom I'm connected, with whom I've spoken on a one-on-one basis, with whom I've learned, I've been able to share my learnings to them, and I've been able to draw some learnings from their experiences. So I think content creation has been uh, incredible support for me.
Hmm.
And the biggest thing, biggest gainer has been my own satisfaction levels. My satisfaction levels, by in terms of writing content, has gone up to a whole new level.
And from that, a follow-up question is, can it be a full-time career as well? Like people,
Yeah, graduate. I'm saying why not? See, I would say it depends upon the stage and life cycle of an individual. Divyansh. Someone who is just out of college, can content creation be a career for them? Definitely yes, but it depends what is their own self-learning quotient, because there's always this trade-off. उन्होंने कहीं काम नहीं किया हुआ है, professional exposure नहीं है, directly content creation में जाना चाहिए क्या? Uh, but someone who has already worked in the corporate world, is content creation? Definitely yes, why not? But then again, then there is a trade-off, saying, okay, they had all these kind of talents which they were, exhibiting in the corporate world. Uh, they were playing leadership roles. Now suddenly content creation, they're doing this kind of work. Will it really gel? So I would really say that it depends upon individual calling. No right and wrong answer in this at all, Divyansh. What depends? A person may like to do a mix of both, like the way Radhika had shared, that you
hmm,
be part of the creator employee journey,
create an
and you
employee.
do,
Yes.
yeah, and you do both, just like the way she has been doing. So I would
Hmm.
say the best thing to do is to leave this call with the individual. And yes, there will always be this kind of dilemma saying क्या करना चाहिए. वो trade off तो रहता ही है ना कहीं. So I think it's
100%.
it's a journey that one has to discover on. There's no right and wrong answer to this question at all.
I totally agree with you, and I think we can have like multiple roles in our lives at a time. So yeah, content
Yeah,
creator and employee and other
yeah.
contractor, consultant, etc. So yeah, thank you so much, Vivek, for this wonderful answer to these questions. And I really enjoyed interacting with you, and and you enlightened us, the listeners, as well, in a big way, and lots of learning from you as well in terms of following you on LinkedIn. So finally, thank you so much, Vivek, and thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much. The feeling has been quite similar, Divyansh. And to the listeners, if you've enjoyed this conversation, then please remember to follow my page on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on YouTube. I'm sure Divyansh can share the link on the
Yes,
comments. And
yes.
I'll be happy to engage. If there's anything that I can do for any one of you, please feel free to reach out. Thank you so much. God bless each one of you. Cheers and bye bye.
Thank you, Vivek. Thank you. Bye bye.